Week 10 already of the fantasy baseball season, and it's really flying pretty quick so far this season. But here's a few pitchers that you should add this week that definitely can help your roster, obviously, this week and beyond, hopefully for weeks and towards the end of the season. The first guy, Michael Wacha, the Boston Red Sox. And Michael Wacha, it's been a very surprisingly good year for him in his first season with the Boston Red Sox here. So on the season for Wacha, 54 innings pitched, 4-1 record, 1 complete game shutout, which 8 hits, 14 earned runs, 16 walks, 36 strikeouts, and 2 quality starts with only a 2.33 ERA and a 1 whip. So Michael Wacha, he's not known for going really deep into games anymore in his career. We know the best part of his career was his days, obviously, with the St. Louis Cardinals, but now he's bounced around over the last few seasons with the Mets, Tampa Bay Rays, and now the Red Sox this season. But this has definitely been his best season since he left the Cardinals, in my opinion. Here is Michael Wacha. So the last few outings for him, June 6th, at the Angels, like I mentioned, that complete game shutout. In that one, 3 hits only, a walk, 6 Ks, a quality start. Then June 11th at Seattle, 4 1/3 in that one, no decision. 8 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 3 Ks. So right here, Wacha, he's not going to go deep into games, but the ERA is definitely low this season. So if you need help with ERA and a guy who's going to have good ERA whip and a good win-loss record, where he's usually going 5 to 6 innings with obviously that complete game shutout at an Angel team that's lost 16 out of 17 this season here, that's not going to happen. But right now, if you just need a quality starter out there who could go out there, give you a few good innings, and keep the ERA down, he's definitely a guy we'd add this week. The next guy we're staying in the American League East is Jeffrey Springs of the Tampa Bay Rays. I've mentioned him over the last couple weeks here, and he's still available, surprisingly, here is Jeffrey Springs in 37% of fantasy leagues, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's still a decent number for what the numbers he's putting up this season. 44 1/3, 2-2 record, 31 hits, 8 earned runs, 10 walks, 45 strikeouts, only 2 quality starts for him, but an unbelievable 1.47 ERA and an 0.87 whip. So Springs, a nice lefty and another diamond in the rough type of pitcher that this Tampa Bay Ray team found here over the last couple seasons. And he's paying good dividends for the Rays and fantasy owners who have had him on their roster over the last few weeks. But right here, he pretty much should be universally owned in 90 to 100% of leagues. So the last few games here for Springs, June 1st at Texas, 5 innings, no decision, 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 7 Ks. June 7th versus St. Louis, 6 innings, no decision, 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks. And June 12th in Minnesota, 5 1/3, got the win. 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. So right here, I know he's in a tough division like Wacha in the American League East here with great hitting teams like Toronto, the Yankees, and the Boston Red Sox. But right now, this guy, he's pretty much not giving up any runs. He's going, I know, only 5 or 6 innings, but he's getting the job done. And he's a guy that should be owned in more fantasy leagues than 63%. So right now, you pick him up and you just keep him until the wheels fall off and he struggles. The next guy's Jason Alexander of the Milwaukee Brewers. So the Brewers, we know they have some rotation injuries. Obviously, with Freddie Peralta was going to be out a while, and Woodruff, he's had a setback, and he's going to be out who knows how much longer. So on the season here for Alexander, a small sample size, obviously, on the year, 17 innings for Alexander, hits, runs, 5 walks, 6 Ks, and a quality start for Alexander with a 2.05 ERA and a 1.68 whip. So Alexander, he's widely available right now in a bunch of fantasy leagues at 93%. But this is a guy here, he's going, and he's pitched well for this Brewer team, even though this Brewer team, they've been slumping big time, losing 9 out of 10 ball games here. So the first 3 outings of his career, June 1st at Chicago, 7 innings, no decision in that one, 7 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks, a quality start. June 7th versus Philly, 5 innings, no decision, 7 hits, a run, 2 walks, a K. And then June 12th at Washington, 4 2/3, 7 hits, a run, 3 walks, 2 Ks. So right here, Alexander, he's pitching for a pretty decent Brewer team overall record-wise, even though, like I mentioned, they've been in a tailspin, losing 9 out of 10 ball games. And right here, they need a guy in that rotation, and he's going to have a permanent spot, I believe, until he struggles or until these guys come back from injury. But Peralta's out indefinitely, and Woodruff, like I mentioned, has a setback. So right now, I would go out there and pick up Alexander because I think he could help fantasy teams. And just the only thing that's been a problem for him is going deep into games and obviously walking batters. But he's still a pitcher trying to find it, and he's pitched decent so far in the small sample size. The next guy is John Gray of the Texas Rangers. So John Gray, he got off to a horrible start with his new team the first few weeks of the season, but then he went on the injured list and came back, and he's been real good now over the last couple outings here as Gray. On the season, 52 innings, 1-3 record, 34 hits, 28 earned runs, 2 walks, 57 strikeouts, and 3 quality starts. So John Gray, maybe that time on the injured list helped him to get right and get things going, because that's definitely been the case here for him. The last 2 out of 3 outings, June 1st versus Tampa, 7 innings, no decision, 3 hits, a run, 2 walks, 12 Ks. Then June 7th at the Guardians, he had a down ball game, 5 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks, 3 Ks. And then June 12th at Chicago White Sox, 6 innings, no decision, 3 hits, a run, 3 walks, 10 Ks. So right here, John Gray, even his Colorado Rocky days, he would have 1 great start and 1 bad start. And that looks like it's been the trend for the most part in his early Texas Ranger days here this season. So right now, he's available in 70% of fantasy leagues. If you need some strikeouts and a guy who could help you possibly get some wins from time to time, because I know the Rangers aren't that great of a team, but he's also given his team a chance to compete and win ball games here is Gray. So if you need a guy that could be decent at strikeouts and need some innings, I think Gray's a good start, but he's also a guy that's going to be inconsistent. But that's just a lot of pitchers nowadays in the league, where they'll have 1 great game and 1 bad game. But a thing that's always been consistent with John Gray is eating some innings and having a high strikeout rate. And that's what he's doing once again here with the Texas Rangers. Next guy, Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves. So Strider was a reliever early in the season, but now they transitioned him into the starting rotation, and he's pitched pretty well on the season. 38 1/3, 2-2 record, 24 hits, 10 earned runs, 19 walks, 57 strikeouts. I know no quality start under his belt, but a 2.35 ERA and a 1.12 whip. So right here, if you need a guy that's going to have good strikeouts, and he'll still go 4 or 5 innings, worst case here, Strider. I don't think he's the worst at in the world. And obviously, he's playing on the hottest team in baseball and the champs as well from last season, the Braves, who have won 11 games in a row. I know they're in a tough division with a Philly team that's been hot as well, 9 out of 10. And the New York Mets, who already have 40 wins on the season and are in first place by 5.5 games. So the last few outings here for Strider, June 4th at the Rockies, 4 innings, 2 hits, a run, 5 walks, 5 Ks. And June 10th versus the Pirates, 5 2/3, got the win in that one. 4 hits, no runs, a walk, 8 Ks. So right here, the Braves, they got a pretty decent schedule for the next week or two before it gets tough once again. And his next outing is June 15th at the Washington Nationals, who are one of the worst teams in the National League. So right here, like I mentioned, if you need strikeouts, you need a decent ERA, and hopefully he'll get stretched out even more where he could go 5-6 innings at least as Strider. I think he's a decent ad. And this Brave rotation, they've had guys up and down in that rotation here this season. But right now, I think Strider is at least a mainstay for 3 or 4 more starts before maybe they get someone in a trade or a guy who'll come back off the injured list or 2. So I would give Strider an ad, and he's available in 55% of fantasy leagues. The next guy's Tanner Scott, Miami Marlins. So Tanner Scott, he's been taking over the last couple weeks here as the closer for this team. And he's done a good job here as Tanner Scott. Obviously, he's going to be the 9th inning guy now, looks like. Saved since June 2nd. And this Marlin team, they've been playing good baseball as well, especially winning 8 games already in the month of June. And they beat the Astros, surprisingly, 2 out of 3. So on the season here for Scott, 23 1/3. 2-1 record, 4 saves, 17 hits, 11 earned runs, 12 walks, and 36 strikeouts. So right here, this Marlin team's in a tough division with teams like the Mets, Braves, obviously, and Phillies ahead of him. But he's going out there and he's converting the saves. And like I mentioned, close is a crapshoot a lot in the major leagues here. But right now, Tanner Scott, He's been pitching good, and the Marlins, they've been playing good baseball here. Well, we know their starting rotation is pretty solid, but it's obviously the bullpen and the hitting hasn't been all that great. So right here, Scott, if you need some saves and a guy for your second or third reliever on your team, I think he's a decent ad, and he's available right now in 85% of fantasy leagues. The next guy I looked at this week's Jason Adam, another closer. Tampa Bay Rays, so right here with Kittredge on the injured list here. He's been the favorite. Getting saves here is Jason Adam. Over the last few games on the season, 25 innings, 1 record, 2 saves, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 walks, and 30 strikeouts here for Jason Adams. So Adam filling in here. And this Ray team, they're still a pretty solid team. Obviously, with not even that many notable guys in a tough division with the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Boston Red Sox. So Adam, he has been added in 22% of fantasy leagues. If I had to pick a closer this week, if only one to add between him and Tanner Scott, I would go Jason Adam. Obviously, with the Rays being a better team than the Miami Marlins, and a team that over the last 3-4 years have just won a lot of close 1 and 2 run ball games, is Tampa Bay. And now with Kittredge out here, Jason Adams, he's been a good fill-in closer right now for this Ray team, and I definitely would go out there and get him, and he's still available in 69% of fantasy leagues. The next guy is Josiah Gray, Washington Nationals. So it's been a hit-or-miss type of season for the former Dodger top prospect. And I know I mentioned it a lot this year. They got him last season, Washington, the Trey Turner and Max Scherzer deal. So obviously he's not going to go anywhere. And this national team's rebuilding, so they're going to throw him out there every 5th day and see what he has. So on the season here for Gray, 62 1/3, 6-4 record, 53 hits, 30 earned runs, 29 walks, 69 strikeouts, and 3 quality starts, 4.33 ERA, and a 1.32 whip here. So right here, Josiah Gray, the last few games he's gone out there, not the greatest outings, but he's pitched at least 5-6 innings, and he's been respectable for fantasy owners, even though I know tonight he's got a tough matchup versus the smoking hot Braves who have won 11 games in a row. So the last few games here for Gray, 29th versus Colorado, 5 innings, got the win, 3 hits, a run, 4 walks, 3 Ks. June 3rd at Cincinnati, 6 innings, got the win in that one, 2 hits, a run, 9 Ks, a quality start. And June 8th at Miami, 5 innings in that one, no decision. 6 hits, no runs, a walk, 6 Ks. So right here, tough matchup, no doubt. Tough division in the NL East. But this guy definitely has great upside. And his ERA isn't the greatest, but it's not horrible as well. He's getting some wins with 6 on the season. And the quality starts, I know, few and far between, but everything else is pretty decent for a second-year guy in Josiah Gray. And I would give him a pickup because the upside is good. And he's been a good pitcher over the last few outings here for this national team. Obviously, if he goes the other way again, where he struggles, you would drop him. But right now, I would give him an ad. The next guy, Mike Lorenzen of the Los Angeles Angels. So Lorenzen, a lot of people have been down on him this season here, but I think he's been pretty solid and one of the only bright spots for this pitching staff over there in Los Angeles. On the season, 60 innings, 3 record, 47 hits, 23 earned runs, 21 walks. I know the strikeouts aren't good at all, 44 in 60 innings, but 7 quality starts. I like his wins. I like the innings pitched, and I like the quality starts here for Lorenzen. And surprisingly to me here, he's available in 55% of fantasy leagues. So the last few games here for Lorenzen, June 4th at Philly, I know was a bad outing. 5 2/3 got the loss. 5 hits, 5 runs, 5 walks, 9 Ks. And then June 11th versus a good New York Met team, 6 1/3 in that one. 6 hits, only 1 run, a walk, 4 Ks, and a quality start. So Lorenzen, he's going out there, he's getting quality starts. He's giving his team a chance to win every day that he's out there, even though obviously it's been few and far between in the last few weeks here. Only winning 2 games in the month of June is the Angels. And he's got a pretty decent outing at the Seattle Mariners. And he's also in a division where there's that many great hitting teams besides the Astros. I like Lorenzen. He's got good upside. He's getting wins, and he's getting quality starts. And right now, like I mentioned, he's still widely available, surprisingly, in 55% of fantasy leagues. And the final pitcher I look to get this week here is Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Helsley, I think, could be one of the best closers this season here for fantasy baseball when it's all said and done. And now he's got the keys to the closer role over there in St. Louis. And I'm very surprised He's still available. I know not in a crazy amount of fantasy leagues, but still in 37% of leagues on the season here for Helsley. 23 in the third, 2-0 record, 4 saves, 6 hits, an earned run, 6 walks, 32 strikeouts, 0.39 ERA, and a 0.51 whip. So right here, he's pitching great baseball. He's pretty much been unhittable, and he's not giving up runs. And this guy just throws pure gas at 102, 103 miles per hour he tops out at. Even though I know that doesn't matter. The faster it comes in, the faster it can go out of the ballpark. But in my opinion, he's a way better option than Giovanni Gallegos, who was a closer early in the year for the Cardinals. And this Cardinal team, they've taken off over the last few weeks. So right here, if Hazley's out there in your league, you definitely go out there and get him. So that's a few pitches I look to add here for week 10 of the fantasy baseball season.